Simple and Out has a number of amazing features that can help automate your Simple and Out board to make sure it's always up to date. Features like automatic status updates that can automatically update your status based on carrying your phone into real world locations. And features like desktop presence that we use on our Windows and Mac app to update your status based on your computer's activity. Today, we're going to focus, though, on a feature that we have that can help integrate your calendar. If you're a person who lives and dies in your calendar, Simple and Out can help schedule status updates based on activities you have going on in your calendar. Simple and Out has a feature called Scheduled Statuses. They are singular points in time that allow you to update your status board at the time with a status and comment that you can schedule in advance. And we have a whole different video I encourage you to watch on scheduled statuses. But if your organization utilizes scheduled statuses and you have permission to manage your scheduled statuses yourself, you can utilize a calendar to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Now, here I've clicked on settings in the upper right and I've clicked on calendars on the left. And here we have a list of calendars. I can have more than one calendar with Simple and Out, and I can add as many as I need to get the job done here. I'll click on Add Calendar. Now, once we get in here, we'll have a few choices we'll have to make, and this will get into some of the prerequisites you'll need in order to be able to use a calendar with Simple and Out and scheduled statuses. First, as I mentioned earlier, of course, your organization will need to have scheduled statuses enabled. That's a feature that your organization can turn on or off. You'll also need permission to be able to manage your own scheduled statuses, so you'll need that as well. Now, the final thing you will need to make calendars work is you will need a URL for a calendar feed. And the calendar feed URL is an iCal URL. It goes right here. That supports the iCal standard. That is the same calendar standard that's used industry-wide by companies like Microsoft and Google and Apple and you name it. So if you do not know how to get this URL, we do have a handy instruction link down here you can click in order to be able to find that URL in your software. A special note about this URL, site administrators will need to make sure you have permission to share a URL from your calendar with an outside party. We know for a fact that Google and Microsoft, as an example, both have settings that allow site administrators to curtail that activity. So if, for example, our settings, if this help link does not work, or if you cannot get this URL, you may need to be one of these people who talks to your site administrator and make sure that this is an enabled thing that you can do. All right, so let's start with the top. So because we got more than one calendar, we can name these anything we want. I'm going to say my work calendar. We'll give this a name. Now that special URL, I happen to have it right here, so I'm going to paste that in. Once I leave this field, we will automatically go and look at that URL and verify that it is authentically an iCal URL and make sure that it works. So here we can see the calendar is verified, and it even found 4 events on that calendar that it is going to be able to bring in automatically for me. Perfect. So this is going to be great. Now I can have my calendar inactive or disabled. I can disable it, if I have reasons to disable my calendar temporarily, I can do that here. And now we come to the big settings that matter. Default status. So iCal as a standard does not specify status. And in Simple and Out, of course, every status update has a status. So how do we know what status to use when we get to your calendar events? And the way this works is we will look at the summary for every event. And if we find a word in the summary that matches a status in Simple and Out that your organization is using, we will make that as automatically that kind of status. So for example, if we encounter the word in the event title, that must be an in status. And if we account the word remote, that must be a remote status, or break, or busy, or out, or sick, or vacation. If we see any of those words, those magical words in the name of your event, that is the status that event will become in Simple and Out scheduled statuses. If we do not encounter any of these words in the summary, in the event title, then what we will do is we will default to whatever you select here. So this allows you to default to something that makes sense depending on how you use your calendar. Me, for example, I tend to use my calendar for events where I'm not going to be working, things like dentist appointment, things where I'm going to be out of the office. So for me, making out my default makes a lot of sense. And then if I have meetings or if I have events where I'm going to be in or working from home, I could just customize the name of the event in my calendar to achieve the desired outcome in Simple and Out scheduled statuses. And we'll see that here shortly. So I'm going to leave that for out. Then finally, the all-day events. So calendars allow for all-day events, right? Events you can have that basically don't start or stop at a particular time. They're just all day. So what Simple and Out does is it allows you to decide when an all-day event is encountered, when would I like that all-day event to be applied? Remember, scheduled statuses in Simple and Out are singular events in time. They are not date ranges. They do not have start and stop dates like any other event in your calendar. Instead, they are the moment that they're supposed to update the Simple and Out board for you. So for us, you know, if I put this at midnight, which is when you would think it would happen in an all-day event, that could have some unintended consequences, right? You might miss notifications if you're using that feature, or you might have this interfere with a status reset if you're using that feature. So I'm going to make this work at 8 a.m. Let's just assume I'm normally in the office at 8 a.m. So if I have an all-day event, maybe an all-day vacation event, I want it to take effect that day at 8 a.m. And then, of course, because we have time, we need to know which time zone you're in to apply it accurately. This will default to the time zone you're in, but of course, you could change this to anything you need. So here we go. My work calendar all set up, ready to go. I'm going to click Create Calendar. Now, when I create this calendar, of course, you can see here that I have the calendar created and it's active and ready to go. Now, when this is added, Simple and Out will always look for the next 6 weeks worth of activity in your calendar and bring that into your scheduled statuses for you automatically. When it does that, it will also go out to your calendar once an hour and take a look for anything that's new or has changed, and it'll automatically bring those things in as well. And this will all happen without me having to remember to do it. So let's take a look at what this looks like now in Simple and Out. So I'm going to click back over here on the board. And again, I'm logged in as Sarah Smith. Let's take a look at Sarah Smith's scheduled statuses. I'm going to click on Sarah Smith on the board, and I'm going to take a look at her scheduled statuses. Now, I had no scheduled statuses when I started this video, and now you can see it found a bunch of things based on my calendar. So it found out that I was going to be out this Friday. That was an all-day calendar event. It marked me as on vacation. That's the name of the event. So all of these comments are the names of the events in my calendar. And here, because the word vacation showed up, it automatically made that a vacation status. Likewise, I had a dentist appointment that has none of the status words in it, so that became an out per my default settings. And then you can see I had a meeting in my calendar where I put the word busy behind it, so that became a busy status. And then I have a remote working from home because that starts with the word remote. That became a remote status update. So again, I could customize based on the naming I use for my events. I could get the desired status outcomes in Simple and Out. And if I don't, I'm just going to get the default of whatever I chose, which again, in my case, based on the way I use my calendar, that makes all the sense in the world. So these events will automatically apply to just like every other scheduled status you create. And of course, they'll be here for anybody who has permission to see another user's scheduled statuses. They can look in, see my schedule, see what's going on, all for me automatically. So that is calendar integration with Simple and Out. It's a great way to schedule your status updates by using the calendar you may already be using and not having to remember to go set those specifically in Simple and Out in advance.